Welcome to EBESN News.
On the Early Bird Network.
We're always chipper in the morning.
Always start your day with a cup of coffee and some EBESN.
Hello, I'm Sloan Socks.
I'm Bobby Couch.
And I'm Enna Smartling.
And this is EBESN News. Thanks for joining us.
We will have 3 interviews,
including household items, past and present, school, a look in the past, and the Osborne special.
Let's get started. Hi Betty Lou, I'm Consumer Report and Household Specialist Bobby Couch, also known as Lazy Boy. I've heard about you and your grandma's relationship and talking about household goods. What do you think about technology and household goods today?
Gosh, it's my 40th birthday and my family spoiled me rotten this year. A new laptop, flat screen TV, and an iPod Touch. How different technology is from my time as a young girl. Then again, what about Grandma? She's always talked about how crazy my technology was as a girl. She told me about everything. The education, the schooling, the jobs, but the technology and house objects just baffled her the most, she would tell me.
What kind of housing objects and technology, and how did they change?
Well, they did have servants for a while longer. When my grandma was a young girl, the Civil War came about and they were freed. This is why our technology and household objects improved, because rich people could not do the servants' jobs in the same way, the harder way. So why not just make it easier? Wealthy people had very modern conveniences. Built-in bathtubs came along with flush toilets. They would have electric toasters in every bedroom and guest room. All that technology started out big.
Wow, today we have a touch screen phones, touch computers, and touch cameras.
In the kitchen they had fridges, waffle irons, and ranges, which is a stove. Hot and cold running water is very nice to have. My grandma told me how nice it was to be able to jump in the bath and get it done so quick. The ladies' ways in the house changed a lot. With servants, they never set foot in the kitchen, never washed a dish, never did a load of laundry, never drew their own bath, never did their own hair, and never drove. The servants did everything.
Wow, pretty rich people. But they should have learned a lot earlier to do a couple more things to do by themselves.
Tell me about it. The new appliances were considered mechanical servants. My grandma said her ma called them that. Well, the electric iron came around in 1907. My grandma said she always had to heat up the iron, and then this electric one heated on its own. She must have loved it because she now has 2. Vacuum cleaners have come out a year later. The central vacuum system was made so they could just plug it into the wall in a room. Granny had a system just like that. The gas and kerosene irons came out around the same time. They would just put a little of whichever and close the lid and turn the switch. That's around my grandma said it. The manual washing machine had a little difference, but not much. Everything was mostly by hand. You brought your own heated water from the stove to the washing machine and you turned the crank. Then the wringer was mounted on top for you to use. The next washing machine to come was the electric one. It went on the market in 1907. On this one, the only difference was the motor under it that cranked and tumbled to close. You still had to haul and heat the water and the wringer.
How gross it sounds from what it is made. But it claimed you. We'll be back after the break. Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Does a former drill sergeant make a bad therapist?
And I think that's why the color yellow makes me sad.
You know what makes me sad? You do! Maybe we should skip on over to Mammy Pammy Land where maybe we can find some self-confidence in you, you jack wiggin'. Tissue? Cry, baby.
Geico, 15 minutes, save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Thanks, Big Al. Today on Education Connection, we will be interviewing Gertrude Chandler.
But you can call me Gertie.
It's good to have you on the show today.
Thanks.
Okay, so you wrote a journal about your life as a teacher. Anything you want to share from it?
Sure. Today is Thursday, October 3rd, 1930. I was at the library on the 1st when I came across a book about one-room schoolhouses from 1900 to 1930. That got me thinking about my own days as an elementary student and now my career as a teacher in a one-room schoolhouse. It hasn't changed much from the time I was in school until the time I started teaching. Some days I arrived early to school in the winter to get a warm and toasted fire going and a pot-belly stove just as my elementary school teacher did.
Oh, so did all kids attend school?
No, not all kids attended school, which is sad because it's still free to attend. Some kids don't attend because they stay at home to help with housework and work in the fields and the barns.
Oh, wow. Are you married?
I'm not married because I can't be, and the children call me teacher as a sign of respect.
Oh, so about how many kids would you say are in each one-room school?
Probably 20 to 30 kids in a class, and 3 to 4 to a grade. Older kids help the younger kids with their lessons. Teachers are still about 15 to 20 years old.
So how do the students get to school?
They walk to school unless they live too far out, in which case they would be brought by a horse-drawn kid hack, which is a horse-drawn vehicle which carried kids to school, or a sulky. That's like a kid hack, but it's carried by dogs. Some students just rode on the back of a horse which they tied up outside on the grass, and it ate all day.
Wow. And what about restrooms?
Our bathroom is out back in an outhouse.
Wow. So what is your teaching method? You have so many kids in different grades, so how do you teach them all? Do you teach them different things or the same thing? How does that work?
Each grade studies separate things like mathematics, writing, spelling, and history. I teach them to dance and to use good manners. I am the only teacher for all of those kids, but somehow I manage with the help of my older kids who tutor my younger students. Also, if some kids misbehave, I hit them with paddles or rulers.
So great. What was your childhood like going to a one-room schoolhouse?
I was very poor as a child, so I didn't attend a private school as wealthy children often did and still do.
What about lunch? Do you cook or does each student bring their own food?
Sometimes I have all the students bring pre-prepared food and I heat it up on the gas stove for all of them. We have soup when it's chilly.
Was that in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hear there are some pretty weird rules. Would you name a few?
Sure, I can't be out of my house from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. unless I'm attending a school function. I have to wear a dress and it can't be higher than my ankles. I can't smoke, can't be married, and there are many more.
Wow. Do you remember being taught anything that you really enjoyed?
I can remember being taught how to swim in elementary school. We teach kids to swim by hanging them on a harness and telling them to kick hard and move their arms like they're swimming, and teaching them how to swim. No water was used. We used water after they learned to swim, so in other words, they were taught technique out of the water and then actually swim in water when they completed and passed technique training. I remember I used to love doing that.
How old are kids when they graduate?
In 1904, when I had just started school, kids went to school until the age of 16. However, most kids never finished 8th grade because the family needed the money, so they had to go to work. Very few women went to college. Not even all rich girls attended. I didn't because you didn't have to have a 4-year degree to be a teacher. Boys and girls did not attend private schools together. Each grade had a set of different rules.
And how much money did you make?
Well, my salary depends on how good the economy is. My monthly pay was $50 and my yearly pay was about $1,500, but then dropped to about $1,200 during the Great Depression.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, schooling has not changed much in the past few years.
Oh my gosh, but what about in 2010? Robots will have taken over by then.
Thank you, and now, a break.